Hello, everybody. Welcome to the patch analysis of the very surprise 6.83. My name is SUNSfan, joined by syndereN. How's it going, big boy? Great to hear. Just great to hear.
Yes, it's great. Hey.
So this is a. I wasn't expecting a patch this month. Oh, your phone's
What are
ringing.
the fucking odds?
You need to answer that phone right now, syndereN. Tell them
Someone
6.83
else
is
is gonna
out.
pick it up. I'm not at home. This is why there's actually a phone ringing like
Oh,
that. We're not back in the 80s. Okay.
I don't know what that
Come
means, but
on.
okay.
Come on,
That does
pick it
sound like
up.
an old school phone.
Very good.
All right, anywho, we have some gameplay updates. You guys can read all this good stuff. There's a new treasure, effigy, stuff like that. But we want to go over the juiciness, which is the gameplay update for 6.83. So was this a surprise for you?
Not that the patch was coming, but that it was this big, yeah. That
Okay.
was a pretty big surprise. So, let's get started.
Okay, I'm drinking some water. I apologize. This is not brought to you by Pepto-Bismol, but this time by H2O. So thanks to whatever god you believe in, or gods if you're Roman or something like that. So, ranked all pick initial planning phase reduced from 40 to 30 seconds, so basically a little less time to pick. Okay, don't think we need to talk about that. First rune spawns are now both bounty runes, and they're twice as effective on the first. I mean, this is what I'm assuming, correct me if I'm wrong. The first rune is twice as effective, not all of them. And as. Okay, I'm sorry, this is a different one. So yeah, let's talk about the runes.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things about this. There's been some discussion among competitive players, mainly about the minute zero rune, what way it impacts the game, if it's fair that you can pick up like a haste or a DD right in the start, and the way that can have impact on games, or even an invis rune for the offlaner has huge implications on the game. So um, I like the fact that the 0 minute rune is no longer random. So there were a couple of ways you could do it. Either you could remove the runes entirely in minute zero, which was something a lot of people were requesting. Alternatives, though, I think it's the cool thing about having minute zero runes is that they encourage fighting really early on and to get really kick off the game in an active manner. So if by having two runes there's definitely something to fight over, then the question was, should it just be two random runes? Should it, as it has been so far, should it be two of the same rune? Excluding or including bounty runes, or pardon me, damn it,
Excuse you.
uh, or should it just be two bounty runes? And now it's two bounty runes, but they're also twice as effective. So the reason I like that it's bounty runes over the other runes is that I feel like these, you can probably expect that it's very likely that the teams get one each, because you can just choose to focus a lot on one of the runes and safeguard that one, and then
Mm-hmm.
the enemy team will probably get the other one. But I'm I'm not sure about the value of this, because I think a hero getting 100 experience in particular, 100 gold is also very important, but 100 XP is halfway to level 2 before the game even starts. I think this is too big of an impact on the tri lanes, for example, that you can give one hero that big of a lead. So I like the double bounty, but I'm not too big of a fan from the get-go of the 100-100. I think that
You know
might
what
be
would
too
be a
much.
cool idea? I just thought of this. So on paper, this will encourage a lot of fighting, as you said. Both runes
Yeah.
are available, but if both teams show up to the same rune, that's going to be a team fight at the beginning of the game.
Yes.
What if you changed it so that the XP is still 100-100, but if you share it with teammates around you. So if you have your whole team there, it's actually not that good and it doesn't really matter very much. But if you go in balls deep every time, syndereN, alone, and you get that rune, which is a huge deal, you get all the experience for yourself. I
I
don't know
think
if
what
that
teams
actually
are going to
changes
do then,
anything, but it's
because
fun.
I think what teams will do, let's say you're four people going to the rune, then you're going to guard it, you're going to force away the
Yeah,
enemy,
that's true.
and then you'll let your guy pick it up alone, if that's what you want. It basically just gives you more options, because then you can choose to split the gold if you want. But I I don't see how that would be a worse change. Like that would be fine as a second implementation. You could just add that the bounty rune is shared with allies within the area. Then it's basically like whenever you kill any sort of creep in the game with allies nearby, you share the XP. Of course, not the gold, but that's an alternative way of doing it as well. You get the gold for yourself, but you share the XP. Then it's like in line with every other source of experience in the game. So
Hmm.
I don't know. I think that could be okay. I wouldn't mind that, but I don't think it's going to change things too much if you change it in that way.
All right. Illusions now deal 25% less damage to structures. Less
Good
sieging,
stuff.
I suppose. Is this a big issue? I didn't really. Never really considered it a big issue, but I'm not a
Let's
pro
see, who does
player.
this mainly nerf? Terrorblade, Naga Siren, uh, PL, but he's not in Captain's mode.
Hmm.
Those are the three big ones that come to mind. Every Manta style carry, of course. Anti-Mage is one of the ones that split pushes a lot with Manta. Um, I like this nerf a lot because, in a sense, the way illusion-based heroes work and the way they chip away at towers, especially a hero like Terrorblade, who you could argue doesn't even chip away at them, but just rampages them, right? Um, it makes a lot of sense for illusions to be nerfed in this regard. I like it a lot. They were starting to get so powerful and that I feel like illusions were too powerful on tower. So I like this change. I hadn't thought of it myself, but it's a really good idea. And at the same time, it's not a nerf that I feel like is going to remove Naga or Terrorblade, or for that matter, if PL was in CM.
Right.
I think the one that gets hit the hardest is Terrorblade, but for the other illusion heroes and for Manta style carries, this is not really the main reason you pick a Naga. It's not to siege buildings, it's to pressure the map. And you still do that the same way as before. Good.
Melee and range barracks bounty reduced by a lot, and the melee and range barracks now give 125 and 75 gold to each player respectively, which I always
So
wondered why that
buffed.
wasn't the case. Yeah, a nerf and then a buff, but overall that's a nerf though, right?
See, what's 4 times 75? That's 300. 300 plus 125. So barracks always give.
Well, for like the person that actually kills it, he's gonna get less money
Let me
regardless
see.
now.
Okay, so 5 times. Melee barracks give 5 times 125. So that's 625. And ranged barracks gives 375. So always better for everything. But it
Okay.
gets spread across the team. So you can't, like. You don't put it on one player, but
Well,
now you
that's
put it
what I
on the
mean,
team.
yeah.
Which makes a hell of a lot of sense because it's a team effort getting barracks. It's the
Never.
same.
Not if you're Terrorblade, syndereN.
It didn't really make any sense when you think about it, how it worked before compared to towers, right? There was. I think you could have still kept the tower idea where you get a bounty for the last hit and then the rest is shared, instead of making everything shared. Oh yeah,
You know
never mind.
what's
You're still doing that. What am I talking about? So you get 100 to
yeah.
150 for the last hit, and then you share 125 and a 75. So
But the
it's like
actual
towers.
initial last hit is a lot less than before,
Yes.
and
So let's
this
see.
I would think this might even be a test for the future to see if things go okay that they implement this on towers a little bit more strictly as well. But
But
that's
this,
going way
let's
ahead.
see. The last hitting player gets between 225 and 275 gold for the melee barracks, so about 100 less. And on the ranged barracks gets about 150 less.
Hmm.
Yeah, he gets 175. So, like, the overall gold is way, way higher. It's like 100% higher for barracks kills. So, and you reward the entire team. I think this is really, really good. And to be honest, I wouldn't mind seeing a similar change on even the small buildings in the base. Of course, with way lower values, but everything where you
Effigy should be
siege
like
the enemy
1,000
base.
gold for the whole team.
If it looks cool, it's like
Yeah.
a bonus for how well crafted it is. But yeah, I like this a lot. And it's good to make it like towers. So good stuff.
All right, ward location at the right of Roshan is now pathable. Okay, stop me if you want to talk about anything. I'm just going to skip through the stuff that I don't think is super important. Fixed a ward location near the dire ancients that cannot easily be seen. Okay. Ancient granite golem. I was hoping they put an aura on this guy of some sort, and this one's crazy. The health is reduced by 300, but it now has an aura which grants 15% bonus health to its allies. So actually taking this over with Chen, or can you do it with Helma
Only
Dominator?
Chen.
It's only
Only
Chen then.
Chen. Yeah.
Maybe they implement that later for Helma Dominator as well, but that's pretty cool. I never thought about this as a possibility. What do you think?
Yeah. So there's two things that happen with this. First of all, it gives Chen that, the possibility of now you might want to get Ags to take the big ancients. You still get the cooldown reduction as you always did on Chen's ultimate, right? So it's down to 30. So that's still really good. But the change that you could convert ancients was something that a lot of people got excited about, but they're pretty garbage, all of them.
Oh, I'm sorry. These are the ancients. That's right. I was thinking
Yeah.
the mud golems
No.
in the forest as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's the granite golems only. So the one thing is that Chen can take over this creep and give bonus health to allies, which is pretty powerful. The other one is the granite golem camp is now harder to kill. And when you stack ancients, it's a lot harder to kill the stack, because all of the ancients in the area will now have more health, right?
That's true.
So actually, the whole ancient stacking thing has now been changed a hell of a lot. Every granite golem camp, just if there's one camp, is more difficult to kill. And when you've stacked 3 or 4 times, there will be a granite golem camp, most likely. You need to get
What's
pretty lucky to only
15%
get
of
dragons.
1700?
That is...
It's like
255. So
he has almost the same
45
amount of
health
HP
less.
than he.
Yeah.
Wait, yeah, so barely any difference in the actual HP. Interesting.
So you're right. Actually, if you just farm the camp, if it's one granite golem camp and you kill the big granite golem first,
then it makes no difference. But
then it's actually easier than
no,
before
if it's
by
multiple
45
ancient
health.
camps and then you have, well, that means you have to actually target them, right? Because if there's multiple,
You have to target the granite
if there's
golem first.
two ancient granite golems or whatever, you have to kill those two first. Yeah.
But then the question is how the bonus health aura works when the granite golem dies. If the target maintains its percentage health, or if it just loses the flat bonus. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think there's a bug right now. So with how that works with heroes, so I actually don't know what's intended, to be honest.
I'm not sure how this works, but we're gonna assume that this. I mean, from an analysis standpoint, I would definitely say this is first of all to give Chen a good ancient, and secondly to nerf ancient stacking a little bit, which a lot of teams are doing a hell of a lot. And I personally don't mind. I think this is good.
Private lobby games now use the captain's mode creep spawn timer when in all pick. What does that mean?
Yes!
What is this?
I wanted this for so long. Finally.
Tell me what it is.
When you remake a game, let's say you're running a tournament and you've hosted
Like
a captain's mode game.
Right.
Yeah. And when you remake and you play all pick because the teams don't want to draft the same heroes again, or
they don't want to redraft.
They've already started the game and someone disconnects and can't reconnect, or the server crashes or whatever. If you remake an all pick, the timer when you start after you pick your heroes would be different.
Okay.
And now it's finally the same in private lobby games.
Now
so
we need that to be implemented for captain's draft as well, right?
Well, it's the same, right?
Oh, it says all lobby games. Okay, that's true.
It's all private lobby games. Just use that spawn
cool.
timer in all picks. So that's really nice.
That's only happened to us a couple times. Maybe even just once, actually. All right, moving along. Maximum attack speed increased from 500 to 600, and the main reason for this is because of changes that you will soon see for Wind Ranger in specific, and I guess Ursa. I don't think Ursa is actually in the patch notes at all. Spoiler. The following abilities no longer have restrictions when cast on spell-immune targets. Kunkka, X marks the spot, Magnus Empower, Treant Living Armor, and Warlock Shadow Word. So you can X marks a teammate while I mean, I think it's pretty intuitive. BKB's been nerfed quite a bit. It's still really good, obviously, but it shouldn't be like a disadvantage for your team that you're BKBing. You know what I mean? So I like this idea. Any thoughts?
Yeah, for some abilities it makes sense. I think for other abilities you could say that it's too powerful. But at the end of the day, I feel like we're starting to get to the point when ultimately, I guess all abilities will be cast in BKB allies. Magnus Empower. Now we have Living Armor, Shadow Word. We have Bloodlust with full implementation.
Not to put you on the spot, can you think of any that are good that can't go through Magic Immune right now?
Repel.
Well, that is a Magic Immune though, so that's kind of.
But that wouldn't really help anything.
Hey, double Magic Immunity.
Yeah, and then they can't purge your Repel while you're in BKB, but it also doesn't really matter.
Wrecked.
Yeah, what the hell? It's a good question. I'm pretty, like, whenever you put me on the spot like that, it's hard to think.
I love doing that.
But there's probably...
Alright, so
probably
tooltip stuff has been changed. Is this last one important? I just skimmed over this. Vision and Fog of War can now be any numerical value. Does this change anything? Like, what does that mean exactly? Like, it doesn't have to go... Like, before, didn't it go in hundreds or something like that? Or am I thinking of something else?
Okay, so the way, if you mouse over the question mark, this is a mechanic I wasn't familiar with how it worked actually, how it was coded. But if you see this, what it says when you mouse over the question mark, it said that before, let's say you were in, you had vision somewhere, and your vision was 52 long, right?
Okay.
Then beforehand, you would get 64 vision, because those were the values it would clamp to, right? 0, 64, 192, etc., etc. Now it can be any value, so you have your true amount of vision and the amount of fog is now... It makes a lot of sense. I don't know why it was this way. It could have been just a carryover limitation that they took from the Warcraft 3 engine originally, but it doesn't really make much sense to have it this way. I feel like we skipped the maximum attack speed a little fast, though. I'm trying to think if there's anything really powerful from this.
Well, I think...
Ursa, Wind Ranger, anyone else? get that much attack speed? Troll, maybe? Any team with Troll, can they cap?
Um,
Still pretty high.
well,
600
I
is
think
really far up.
what I'm thinking of is I'm trying to remember what Wind Ranger's, because the thing was actually changed for attack speed. Let's say it's 500. You can
Mhm.
put an extra buff on her to attack even faster, I guess. I don't know what the actual reason for that is, but um, like putting Bloodlust on Wind Ranger Focus Fire
Yeah.
actually makes a difference, or something like that,
Mhm.
or even Ursa. I don't
Yeah.
know.
It seems really gimmicky and in a way a little arbitrary because I can't really see how this like what the reasoning is, but I don't think it's too overpowered for either of those heroes. And I like seeing Ursa getting some love. That hero is still could use a hand, so that's good.
Indeed. Or a paw in that case. Heroes. Abaddon. Borrowed time duration increased by 1 second at all levels.
Good
That's a
stuff.
pretty decent buff for a hero that isn't really seen very much anymore. I was
Sometimes.
hoping to see something with Ags. I mean, I think, well, maybe that's not true. Ags is so, it feels in theory really good on the hero, but you just never see it. I mean, you don't see the hero that much anyway. I don't know. I mean,
I think the Axe upgrade on Abaddon is already really, really good. I wouldn't want to touch that. I think this is okay though. The ultimate level 1 of Abaddon, you could argue, was a little weak. And once you get later, I don't think this is unwarranted. Is that the word I'm looking for? Maybe it is.
it's
Um,
fine.
we'll say it was. This makes sense to me. That's okay.
All right. Alchemist. A lot of changes with Grievel's Greed. The base bonus gold has been increased. The extra bonus gold per stack is a constant 3, which is basically level 3 of old. The max bonus gold has been changed as well. Basically, level 4 is higher than it was from the constant from before, and the recent kill window is increased by 5. So overall buffs for a skill that is, I mean, he's used as support almost exclusively these days. Seems like they want him to be a carry, perhaps.
Yeah, he used to be the carry. Back when why can't I remember what his ultimate is called right now? It's eluding me somehow.
Ultimate?
Yeah.
Oh, his ultimate. Chemical Rage, I
There we
believe.
go. Yeah, back when Chemical Rage. Damn, you remembered a spell name I didn't. This is a rare occasion.
Yes.
Early in the morning for me. That's why. Back when Chemical Rage used to give flat health plus regen instead of strictly regen. He used to be a really big pick because he was very hard to kill with that extra health he got flat. But then that got changed into flat regen and then or regen only, and you could burst him down a lot easier. But I think this could bring him back to a carry role. So I'm trying to figure out when this is worse than the old one. And I can't really see it, because you could say, okay, the Grievel's Greed max bonus gold is now not 30 on level 1 anymore, but instead it's 12. But beforehand, you wouldn't get it to 12 anyway, because you got 1 bonus gold per kill. So the timer would usually, apart from in very, very rare cases, it would expire on level 1 before you reach 12 anyway. So
Right.
now it's better. I think it's better in every way, apart from
The stack. Sorry,
on
the
level
stack.
4.
Yeah. But
The
that
extra gold per stack in that interval. But then again, the base gold is also higher, so it doesn't matter. It's actually
overall it's
always
definitely a
better,
buff.
unless I'm missing something. I think it's always better.
I'm sure there's some
So
strange circumstance. Well, whatever. It's overall a buff for sure.
I can't find it. I
We'll
think it's
see if
always
that
better.
makes a difference, though. I don't know.
I think he is a really good carry, and in a lot of games, people just don't think about it. The thing is, in the minds of the pros now, this hero is a support or a solo mid. And in some games, he can just destroy in a carry role. Do you remember in our first tournament this year? There's a game in which Fnatic played Hani on a safe lane Alchemist. That game was 20 minutes long.
I
He
don't
got,
remember.
or like 30, or
How do
maybe
you
25 or
remember
30 minutes
that?
long.
Jesus.
Because it really stood out for me. Because I was like, yes, finally someone plays Alchemist as a carry again. And then it didn't happen again, but he stomped that game. He had total free farm. There was no one who could touch him. He was 10k net worth ahead of the second hero 20 minutes in. And that wasn't against a no-name team. I think it was against Na'Vi at the time, or another really good team from how I remember. So can definitely be played that way. I'm worried this is too good now that teams rediscover him. So I'm a
We'll
little,
see.
slightly worried. We'll see. Yeah.
All right, moving on to Axe. A lot of changes with his least used and sometimes not even leveled skill in Battle Hunger. The duration has changed to be a constant 10, which is a nerf. The damage has been rescaled. Actually, let's click on this. What does that say? Total damage. Oh yeah, that's right. So it's technically less damage as because of the timer or the duration overall, but the damage has been increased a bit. The cast
Better
range has been
DPS.
right. Damage per second is more, but
Yeah.
yeah. Battle Hunger cast range has been decreased a bit. The movement speed and slow has been increased slightly, and the mana cost has been lowered. I feel like this skill still. I mean, I'm not gonna say it sucks, but this is not a buff. This is not a big buff at all for a skill that's never used. Am I wrong?
It's if it didn't get the cast range nerf, I would say it's a buff for sure. But this cast range nerf, I feel like comes out of nowhere, and I'm not completely sure about it. Because I would say when you look at how Battle Hunger used to work, there weren't really that many cases when you would have it run for 16 seconds on level 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
But having the DPS be higher means that even if it gets taken off halfway, you've still had more of an impact in the fight. After all, it's still 10 more DPS on level 4 than it was before. So that's pretty good. But now that the cast range is lower, it's harder to hit on the targets you want. Sure, you get a bit more movement speed and a little more slow, but that extra 2%, I'm not really seeing that having a huge impact.
I would
Then
like
you've
to
got
see
low
that
mana
have
cost,
more of
which
an
is good.
impact, actually. If more movement speed was added, that would be pretty cool.
I will still consider this a buff, even though there's the cast range reduction, because I think the other things still are good enough to outweigh it, and perhaps the biggest buff of it is actually the mana cost. Now it's worth leveling it for that reason. Axe is a hero that, until he gets a mana item, he really has mana issues. Just using Berserker's Call, Battle Hunger twice, and your ultimate will bring you from full mana to 0, and
So
by leveling this up before, that was actually getting really expensive to cast,
right.
so that's good.
I still think that this is just a value point. You put 1 point just for the movement speed, if nothing else.
I would still do that too, but it's
and
still
ignore
better
the
than
rest of the
before.
way. I mean, I'd go stats over this. Run 2 through
Yeah.
4. I don't know.
What you did before. I think this, in a way, perhaps you will want to. This buffs Axe mid quite a lot for me.
I love Axe mid.
So you could actually run Axe mid with max Battle Hunger now. It's more cost efficient. You get more move speed, more damage per second, as long as you can prevent the enemy from getting the last hit. As always, could be interesting.
Okay, moving on to Bane. Nightmare cooldown has been changed to be basically scaling from 16 to 13. Okay. Beastmaster.
Yeah,
Tons of changes, mostly to the Call of the Wild. So provides a hawk and a boar at all levels, which I've always thought that should be the case anyway. It was kind of weird. Like, okay, you get a garbage hawk at level 1, you get a garbage boar at level 2, but now they scale, and I won't go over the specific numbers, but this is a boring hero. I mean, I'm not saying he's bad, but he's a very boring hero, and this
He
makes
also has a
him.
boar.
Oh my god, that wasn't even intended. Great job, syndereN. And now he has a boar at level 1. I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, this is nice. I'm just trying to see. I'm just looking at the end values. What is better than before? The boar has more damage. The boar has better attack time, and the boar has more slow. So overall, it's not just a rescaling. Also, all the end values are actually the same or better, apart from the night vision of the hawk for the Beastmaster himself. So it's a buff. It's a pretty big one, I think. It's very nice.
I like it. I like it a lot. All right, Bloodseeker has now been added to Captain's mode, and this.
Oh boy,
this
here we
means
go.
Next week, Blood Rage no longer amplifies outgoing damage if the damage has no reflection flag. That is basically for Blade Mail, Spike Carapace, Fatal Bonds, etc. Bloodseeker, you ready for him?
I don't know. I guess it's the right way of going about it is putting him into CM and seeing what happens. Like, some heroes that you feel like are just completely broken off your pub experience turn out to not be that good in Captain's mode in a competitive environment. So I still think this hero is going to get picked a hell of a lot. And one of the reasons I think so is that in our tournament, he's been banned every single time he's been in the pool. No one wanted to play against it. They were open to play against more of the non-CM heroes. They played against Phoenix. I think every hero in our tournament...
No, not PL.
Apart from PL, I was about to say. All the non-CM heroes apart from PL saw play, even Earth Spirit.
Not techies.
You're right, didn't see play. He got banned a couple times. He was just so bad no one cared.
Yeah, pretty much.
So that's... I mean, he wouldn't really matter that much in Captain's mode, but... Yeah, Bloodseeker I think is going to make a splash, but we'll see.
Should be fun. Bounty Hunter, track bonus gold for self has been increased a substantial amount, I would say. That's really nice, and the cooldown has been reduced to a ridiculous 4 seconds.
Yeah, I think the second buff is bigger.
Both are insane.
Because
This hero's
the
never
thing,
played, like almost ever.
yeah, I like this buff a lot because I think it would have been too good if the track gold for allies got increased. But as long as it's only for himself, it encourages you to. First of all, it's going to get picked more now. Now there's really a lot of value to it. But I think for a competitive environment, the track cooldown reduction is the bigger change because what would often happen with bounty hunter in ganks or team fights is that you would get if unless you set up the team fight like you prepared for it for like I don't know 15 seconds, you couldn't have track on all your kills. Now it's pretty likely that you would at least track 3 or 4 people in a team fight.
Yeah.
So the risk reward ratio of a bounty hunter pick now is now way higher. Like the reward is just so much higher. If you get any good team fight now with this hero, you get payback immediately. So
And
I don't know if this is too good. I think maybe it should have still been scaling. So like I don't know 864 or 765 or something like that. But we'll see. Level 1 track to me is just gonna get insane now. You're just really looking for fights all the time. So
I mean, the last time I
interesting.
remember seeing him in competitive play on a regular basis was when he was a courier sniper. And that was before the changes to the courier where it's actually easier for him to get the kills. So I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of couriers killed in the future. Brewmaster, base armor has been reduced from 4 to 2, so he's literally useless now, if Reddit has their way. Thunderclap hero slow duration has been decreased just a tad, and the Thunderclap cooldown has been increased by 1 second. So nerfs all around to
Good.
Brewmaster.
Needed.
Bristleback quill spray's stack damage has been increased. Okie dokie. Broodmother spiderling.
How?
Did you want to
Wait a
talk about
second.
that?
Wait a second. How big is that? How much is this?
Well,
I'm
6
just trying to
damage per
think.
stack. How many stacks can you have?
The cap is still 400, right?
Oh, it's the damage threshold or the damage restriction.
No, there's still a cap. Like, yeah, Quill Spray can't do more than I think it's 400 damage every time. I'm pretty
Okay.
sure, which is insanely high, right?
Yeah, you don't see that
I
very
seem to
often.
recall that. So, as far as the cap, that's still the same, but 6 extra. How many percent is this? This is like a 20% buff on the highest level. So that means it's a big part of Bristleback's damage source. So I want to say this is not insubstantial. It's also the skill he maxes first. So when you're level
Well,
7,
with
you
3
will.
stacks, you're doing extra 50 damage or something like that, right? And 3 stacks is
Uh,
very easy to do in most cases. So yeah,
how
that's
do you mean 50 extra?
well, you get so compare 30 to 36. You have 6 plus how was I doing that?
But yeah, you're right.
It would be
It's
6 plus like 12, right? Isn't that how it exponentially works, kind of? Am I thinking of this the wrong way? Do you know what I'm trying to do?
yeah, I know what you're trying to. Yeah, I think
6 plus
yeah,
12
this
plus
is pretty big, right? So every time you
yeah, it's
put a stack
substantial.
on, damn, I don't want to say anything wrong next. This mechanic in general, Quill Spray, is a little weird. And it's not a hero I play a lot. This guy, I almost never play it.
How dare you? He's so fun.
Uh, he's really fun. He really is. But I mean, it's just an extra. It's an extra 6 damage every time you get a stack on, so it will just scale up a lot faster. Basically, is what we're getting at.
Yeah.
So it's a bigger change than it might look on paper. I want to say because this hero's damage output is actually really high already, and this extra pick up will could actually be enough to bring him back as a regular pick. I'm gonna make a bold prediction on that he's gonna get
All
a
right.
big comeback off
I'd
just
love to
this.
see that for sure. Brood spiderlings day vision have been reduced.
This is kind of random.
Okay. I mean, I don't know if he needed. Has he been played in CM very much since he's been released?
Sometimes it's when
I saw him.
you
We
can
saw him
get
in a
it
summit
late
a
in the
few
draft.
times.
It's
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah.
I think it's just a way of allowing the enemy team to easier catch them off guard when they're jungle farming. They won't see you coming until it's too late. Not right now, the day vision allows you to farm the jungle fairly safely with the spiders. It's just overall reducing the scouting power of the hero. So you get less safety when you're playing it. It's a little more risky, and that's good. That's how the hero should be. So
All right,
I'm
and
down
some
with
much
this.
needed changes to CK, which I'm sure you'll be really happy to see. Reality Rift damage
Oh
has been
wow.
increased, and that's more evident in the earlier levels. Like that is a pretty big deal actually. And in conjunction with that, 20 less mana to cast it. And then probably the biggest deal is his ultimate will last for 8 more seconds. What is the cooldown on his ult?
I don't know, it got buffed from 24 to 34 recently, right? I was like, oh, that wasn't enough. We'll just add another 8 seconds
Yeah,
to it.
no problem. And that's like next patch it'll be a minute. No big
Is
deal.
there some sort of hidden message in the Chaos Knight, and then his ultimate is 42? Is there something there, or
Uh,
like the answer to everything? But he's the Chaos Cat. Okay, all
what do
right.
you think if to make it even more random, the duration is random? It can be 5 seconds.
Oh,
It could be 3 minutes. Something ridiculous.
I think when you pick the hero and you spawn, you should have random starting items from anywhere of a value from 500 to 5,000 gold.
There
You
you
just
go.
start with
That's
something.
fine with
That
me.
would be good.
That's
First pick.
perfect.
Yeah,
What's the downtime on his ult right now?
it's a long cooldown. I can't remember by heart. Let me find it.
I'm thinking
And
160
meanwhile,
second
we
cooldown.
can. It's
My
really
guess.
long, but meanwhile we can talk about the other thing. So Reality Rift, this is a really big change. I think this might be the biggest buff to any single ability in this patch. This is extremely good now on level 1. It's basically a double damage hit. 60 is a really high amount of damage for this ability. And the lower mana cost. This is
Quite
good.
nice.
And it's another one of those cases where I'm worried that the hero is going to almost get too strong, just because I think it's already good, and the only real weakness of the hero for me is that his ultimate is an extremely big part of his mid-late game presence, similar to Death Prophet, but just that for Chaos Knight, if you have any solid AoE so you can remove the illusions, he loses all his power, but he's extremely strong when that is up. Now that you buff his other parts too, he could get extremely strong. The cooldown is 140, by the way.
140.
On
Okay.
Phantasm. So, if think of it this way, it's in a sense I would think of Chaos Knight as if you think of how Death Prophet works in teamfights. She pops her ult, then you have to kill her, or you will take a lot of damage over time on either your buildings or your heroes. Chaos Knight's the same way, just that instead of killing him, you have to kill the illusions. Now, the illusions' tankiness hasn't been buffed, but they last longer. So in the games where Chaos Knight is good, he is going to ball out of control now. And he will easier get to that stage, because now that Reality Rift is better, he will get more kills. This is a lot of buffs at once. And I would love to see this hero played more. It's really fun to watch. So,
Yeah, I agree.
I'm not complaining. I am just, once again, maybe a little too
It's a
concerned.
slippery slope, Ice Frog. You need to be careful. syndereN, talk to Ice Frog yourself and tell him your concerns.
You just gave me the idea that it's Ice Frog's grandma giving feedback on the patch.
Yes. That was
This
the
hero is
intention all along.
underplayed.
All right, Chen. This is so not talking about the buffs from the ancient Granite Golem, but once he gets Ags, he can take it over. Test of Faith now teleports all of your units to where when you cast it on yourself. Same delay as with allied heroes, so there's a delay. And Holy Persuasion max units has been increased to a max of 4, so he can have one more unit than before. He can take over ancient Granite Golems with Ags, which actually do something for you now. Like the aura is pretty helpful. And the Test of Fate, not okay. This is another Reddit suggestion that I feel like was added in the last week, because somebody on Reddit it was actually a pretty cool suggestion. They're like, when Chen teleports to a tower and his minions are close by, they should teleport with him automatically. This is kind of the same thing, except with you have to use some mana to do so, but it's still pretty cool. So you can
And
just
it puts
push
your ability
opposite
on
lanes.
cooldown, which is important as well.
Right.
Because then you can't use it on anything else.
Still,
but yeah, this
definite
is
buff.
really good. It's one of the problems of Chen is that he's a pushing hero, but you can't help in team fights. If a fight breaks out somewhere else on the map while you're split pushing with your creeps, they're useless. So the fact that now it's when you're playing Chen, it's not all about everyone gather up around Chen, let us go and push a tower together. Now you can actually help your team when you get counterplayed, which is really damn important.
Which
this
is kind of similar to the way Brewmaster was changed way back when you can add webs across the map.
Yes.
I really like that.
So this is very good. The extra creep, I personally don't mind either. I think the buff is good. I think it also makes intuitive sense. The scaling from before was really weird, like 1, 1, 2, 3. Now you have a linear scaling.
Instead of 3 Midases, you now need 4 to counter Chen, right?
That's true.
Which that should
Or
have
you
been
just
changed
pick Doom.
Well. Yeah, or that. Or infest into a
or
creep.
Or a Clinks.
Yeah, or that. They need to. So, I don't have a problem with those. Like I think Devour should work. I think Midas should not kill his creeps.
Yeah, that was another suggestion we had, but
it'll happen someday, syndereN, and we'll take credit for it.
Yeah, I agree. Okay.
All right, Clink's base attack range has been increased, so he's even more annoying than before, but for some reason not picked. I think he's a really strong hero.
Oh, by the way,
Yes.
sorry, one more thing about Chen that I didn't
Oh,
mention. That's
sure.
also very important. So I was talking about the defensive potential, right? That whenever your team gets ganked, you can port and then port your creeps to you. But this obviously also means that Chen is a lot better as a split pusher, because now you can go with your team when you're in the offense, and you can go on the offensive on another lane at the same time, because his creeps, when you have 4 of them, are actually extremely strong at split pushing, and you can't just gank the creeps and kill them in the amount of time he can port them on. It takes him 3 seconds to port them with level 4 Test of Faith. So he can actually split push with a lot of safety, compared to a lot of heroes that need to either commit their hero to the split push or have illusions, which are now nerfed on tower pushing. So he gets a lot more interesting because of the other changes to illusion-based heroes, and this just makes him a way better split pusher, which Chen was never really able to do before. Because if you split pushed, well, you couldn't really come back to the fight. So this is really, really good. I think he's going to get picked again. That's how good this change is.
I'd like to see it.
Good. Let's go on.
All right,
Clinks, you said?
range, yeah.
That's good.
Good.
Powerful.
Okay.
Not sure what prompted this, but I personally don't mind. Oh, look, there's another
La 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 la
telephone
la
ringing.
la.
Who would have thought? Hopefully they pick it up before it rings the second time.
I like hearing it, actually. It's a blast from the past.
God damn it.
It's like, no, we
Yeah,
don't
you'll
use
never
cell
guess who
phones
I'm
here.
visiting right now. You will never guess.
What? Is that an actual...
If it's a blast from the past, who am I visiting? Could it be my parents? Yes, it could.
That's true.
Alright, there we go. They picked it up. Good.
That's actually true. My parents still use a telephone, too. I mean, what's the deal? What's the deal with these people, you know? Alright, anywho. Clockwork battery assault damage has been increased by
You know
5.
what this reminds me of?
Yes?
Clockwork 5 years ago, when it actually used to work this way.
That does look familiar. 20, 40, 60, 80.
That's how it was. This is the old battery assault. And that was really good, and Clockwork was a big pick at that time.
Why isn't he picked?
Extremely good, actually. So,
well, but you're talking about 5 damage.
On level 1.
Sure.
It's on level 1 that this really matters. That's a big thing. When you're chasing... One of Clockwork's really big strengths
if he can solo somebody, if he can get them in
early
range,
stage, he can really solo people very early on. And yes, it's only 5 damage, you could say, but when you're chasing someone with battery assault, you probably hit them 10 times. Then it's 50. And that is very often going to be the difference between getting a kill or not on the early levels. 50 damage is quite a lot. If it was 50 damage in total on the last level, then whatever.
That you're going to get 10 procs off on a hero in early game? I don't know.
That's how Clockwork gets his solo kills. He cogs someone in. If you get anyone into cog, battery assault will hit more than 10 times.
Okay.
Let me just look this up, because I can't remember the exact amount of times it procs.
As an offlane hero,
but
because the changes to cogs where you could, how many attacks does it take for an ally? It's less now, right? To kill the actual cogs. But obviously, if he's alone.
Okay.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it takes 3 hits, right? Still, or am I?
All right, but look at this from a competitive standpoint. What difference does this make?
Okay, so battery assault hits 15 times. It has a duration of 10.5 and it hits every 0.7, so it has a 15 total hits. This means on level 1, it can now deal 300 damage instead of 225. That's a 75 difference. That's if you get someone into your cogs, you pop battery assault and you chase them down, which you'd be surprised. This actually does happen, that heroes tank the full battery assault, because if you're caught in the cogs and you have no escape mechanism, Clock's going to run you down.
Alright, so I'm going to play devil's advocate some more on this, because I'm not a believer in this at all.
Okay.
Clockwork 1v1, I can see your point. Clockwork
That's what I'm
1v3,
mainly talking about.
No difference at all. Okay, well.
A difference, but not as big a one as the.
I mean, if you look at it in the grand
sure.
scheme of things, you're not going to pick this hero based off this change, is what I'm saying. You're going to pick him off based off other reasons.
Yes, I agree. This is not a reason you will pick Clock more. It just means it could... This is a buff to mid-clock. It's a buff to the one-on-one Clockwork, where either you're assuming the enemy team will run an aggressive tri-lane, or you want to run an aggressive tri-lane yourself and you want to leave Clockwork against a solo offlaner. He kicks ass against melee heroes, this guy. If there's any melee offlaner in the enemy team, Clock will almost definitely win the lane. There's very few heroes that beats this guy. Because he's just going to run in, start battery assault, and what are you going to do? If you don't have an escape, you're going to lose the fight no matter what, and especially now, you're going to lose it really hard. But once again, the big change is on level 1. It starts in relative power, it falls off on the later levels in terms of impact. But just for early lane dominance, this is cool. But I agree with you. I overplayed it a little bit in my first statement because I just remember how Clock used to wreck face
that damage!
on the early levels. Well, yeah, but
I
if you
see
look
your
at it
point. I
percentage-based,
see your point.
it's actually
That's fine.
I overestimated it, but still, it's still really good in lane.
I mean, the hero needs a little bit of love. He's an exciting hero to watch. I don't mind watching him at all, so no problem at all. Crystal Maiden.
Okay,
yes?
go on. Yeah.
I just want to talk about the wench in blue. You know?
We're good.
Crystal Nova attack speed is changed from 20 to 30. Frostbite cooldown has been decreased, but on a scaling way. So it's actually because a lot of people leave it at level 1. I'm trying actually. Is that what they do now?
Varies.
I guess it depends, but either way, it's lowered for the scaling purposes. Freezing field duration has been increased by 3 seconds. Freezing field explosion spawn radius and slow radius has been increased by 150, and the explosion damage radius has been increased by 50. Tell me how this ult isn't like the most ridiculous ult in the world if you can get it off.
It's kind of been the way Crystal Maiden has been buffed in like every patch, right? We make freezing field better. So the one thing I really want to commend them on is that they're not giving in and giving Crystal Maiden move speed bonus. That's really good. I don't want to see that buff because it's part of the character, and the idea is that Crystal Maiden is slow. And a lot of people are saying, well, the reason she's such a bad support is that she's not as fast as the other supports. Deal with it. Make her better in another way, right? So
they should come out with an Arcana where she's like morbidly obese. Then it would make more sense why she's
That's
so
actually
slow.
a really, really idea. So she could... you know, you could... Everything is a buff here, right? 10% attack speed slow. Or 10, rather, sorry. 3-second cooldown reduction in Frostbite. So her early game potential is now better. In terms of team fighting, this will probably allow you to cast Frostbite once more, which is good. Generally in ganks, you only get it off... Sometimes you get it off twice, but generally the first one is what secures the kill, at least in early game. Actually, this... I don't know exactly the mechanics around how Freezing Field works. I know it spawns in like random locations, but I don't know if it's pseudo-random to some extent in the area, that if you get a lot of explosions in one area, it tries to like...
I'm not sure.
Share them in the other, if it's just 100% random. But the fact that the explosion spawn radius is bigger also means that even though the explosion damage radius is also bigger, I'm not sure if your chance of hitting heroes in a particular point, I think that's lower now, right?
Yeah, it could be.
But wait, the radius of the explosion is 50 bigger, but the spawn radius is 150 bigger. I guess it still hits easier, because now there's... If it spawns even in any proximity of the hero now, it's still going to hit.
Oh, I see.
But even though the area itself is bigger, they will still... Yeah, I still think this is a buff in every case. I'm almost confident. So... Now the spawn radius... Wait, just... Hang on. This means that the ultimate itself is bigger, right?
Yes.
I'm not misunderstanding anything about that. Yeah, okay.
It's bigger, and then the radius of the actual explosions is bigger as well. So it like kind of makes up for it, because the actual spawn radius, as far as damage is concerned, if that was the only change, that would be a nerf almost. Well, it would be a nerf to damage, right? But it wouldn't be a nerf for... anything else.
Exactly.
But that kind of makes up for it, so.
Yeah, so this is easily a better ult. I don't know why it needs to be 10 seconds now. Now you can like stand in the middle of your jungle, you cast Freezing Field, and your team just keeps pulling in creeps into you now. Like,
yeah, that sounds feasible.
I mean, if you start your ultimate at 652 and you pull in the creeps from the camps, then they can spawn again at 7 and you can pull them in again, or 653, right? Never mind, that's retarded.
It's okay, syndereN. No, you have some cool opportunities to do some stuff with this here, I think, but she's still slow as balls. So
yeah, I don't know. If you ask me, I think the ultimate buffs are actually less relevant than the Frostbite one.
Because she's mostly found in the jungle these days?
No, because before, like, the ultimate already was so extremely good that it was a matter of you either get off a good ult and you kick ass, or you don't get it off and you do nothing, or you get it off and get cancelled by a stun or silence and you do a little bit. And that's still the same story. So, how often did you channel this to 7 seconds before? 1 out of 10 times. Now you channel it to 10. Okay, so in those 10% of cases, you might channel.
You can stand farther away.
You can stand farther away.
At the very least, you will slow them.
That is true. That's the big part of it, is the spawn radius, I think, and the damage radius. So, like, the two last parts are way more important than your duration increase. And it is good, because it gives you a little more freedom in positioning. So I agree, it shouldn't be overlooked. But I still think this is it's still a situational ability to the extent that I think the Frostbite buff is more reliable and more relevant in more cases. Yeah. So,
but if you can get some farm on this wench, blink BKB, then her ultimate's arguably top 10 ulti in the game. Like, it's ridiculous.
That was something I was thinking about the last 3 times her ultimate got a buff was, is this enough? Will teams consider her as a core? Still hasn't happened, so.
Yeah.
She has some decent skills for a core, right? If you gank, you have Frostbite and Nova
but
on a high
so
level.
Slow. Early How do you gank with this hero? Unless
shit
you're
in lane.
The jungle already, you know?
In a way, right? Or she's okay in lane. Her attack animation is bad. Her damage is bad. So that's a problem.
You know what,
but
syndereN,
her spells for the lane
you know what you
really
do to
good.
make her a core? You give her blink instead of her aura. Okay? Blink, Frostbite, ult, you're good to go.
That would be pretty good.
It makes sense for her lore, of course, you know? Just flying on an ice shard or something like that. Alright,
I still want to see safe lane CM, one-on-one, crushing her lane and getting blink BKB while you have a farming mid. Do it.
Yeah, I'd like to see that too. Who wouldn't? Darkseer, base armor increased by 1, so he's literally unkillable, and vacuum pull duration has been increased just slightly. Yeah. Okay? He hasn't been seen very often lately.
Slightly better in lane. The armor is a good increase. Yeah. That's fine. And the vacuum, this is a buff, just to make sure we agree. It takes longer to pull people in, which means the stun itself is longer, and it's easier to set up the wall. So,
yeah, barely, but sure.
If you cast it in that order.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Base attack range has been increased for Daz. Everybody's attack range is getting increased.
Nice.
Lina, who was earlier, Clinks, and now Dazzle, so it's 550. And he has decent base damage in general, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe I'm thinking, I know Witch Doctor does, but Dazzle's not too shabby at all.
I like this.
More of a harassment.
Nice change.
Right? Death Prophet
Love
strength
the hero.
growth has been reduced by 0.3.
Yep.
Okay, very nice.
That's, how much is that? That's...
Well, 1 strength
5 less health per
right?
level. Yeah.
So 5.
So it's about 0.3. So it's about 5 less health per level, right? Something like that.
I'll go with that.
Because every 3 levels.
5 health.
No, every 3 levels, right? Well, whatever. It's around 5. It's somewhere in that proximity. 5 to 6 health less per level. So.
Fine. Either way, it's whatever. It's whatever. Disruptor has been changed a bit. Glimpse mana cost has been rescaled to be a constant 100, which is kind of, well, I guess I was gonna say right in the middle, but actually it's level 3 of old. Glimpse cooldown has been reduced. Kinetic field cooldown has been reduced just slightly, and static storm cooldown is scaling, which ends up being a lot lower at level 3.
Oh, what a hero!
This hero is like ridiculously good.
It's like my favorite support. I love getting him. But this is like personal bias, right? I love seeing that this hero gets buffed because I enjoy playing it, and it's so cool. From a competitive standpoint, I don't know if this makes that much of a difference. The lower mana cost and Glimpse on the first 3 levels, it's still mainly, you'll still want to max it into level 4 as fast as possible, I think. Then it's a little bit better in terms of cooldown. The extra 2 seconds less can actually make a difference in some cases, so that's nice. This kinetic field, correct me if I'm wrong, that got scaled down a second last time as well, right?
It sounds familiar.
2 times ago. I think I've seen this before in another patch, so it's a little bit better. And then Static Storm. So I guess it's fair to say buffs overall. I think the extra mana cost on level 4 Glimpse doesn't matter that much, because at that point you are, after all, level 7.
You're already winning the game by that point. I think that's one of the best single target skills in the entire game, and it's
I agree. Still support though. This does not turn him into a core. These changes at all.
Right.
For me. So.
All right.
Has the
DK.
same role.
We're talking about how they've been getting rid of arbitrary stuff. It only took a few patches to do this, but now at level 3 for his dragon form, corrosive breath will still be available, so it never goes away. How nice. Okay,
that's
moving on. I don't really see how this changes anything. By the time you're level 3 with that ult, you're basically focusing on heroes more than anything, but obviously
you're also hitting towers. It means when you win the fight, you push faster.
You know what I'd like to see is that the slow from his attack will slow the tower, like Jakiro. Rigged?
Or like
That's
in the
right.
good old Dota 1, back when Frost Dragon used to freeze the tower entirely with its
Okay.
attack.
Yeah, that sounds not rigged at all.
That was really good.
That was good.
That was insane.
But I don't think this is enough for him to be played any more than he is now, honestly. I mean, at no point you're like, God, I wish I had Corrosive Breath. It's game breaking. It's nice, but
it also works on heroes, remember. So it's not just the towers. It's also the DPS on targets.
It's like, what, 20 damage a second, right?
Yeah, it's something,
It's
right?
fine, but I'm just saying at that point of the game, oh, sure. I'm just saying this isn't, not to be a downer here, because I'd love to see Dragon Knight played. I'd love to see every hero played evenly, but actually that's not true. Centaur should be top played out of everybody. And he's not changed in this patch, which is just disgusting, so this patch is already a failure.
But I agree with what you're saying. It's nice for the logic of the ability. It like makes intuitive sense that it works this way, but it's not a big change.
When bottle crowing was the thing, Dragon Knight was played. Now it's like...
It's still a thing.
It's like 25% of what it used to be. And there's actually more things in the patch notes that make it worse.
I think the team that mainly picks Dragon Knight is EG,
guess, yeah.
and they run in push strats. And that's even better now, keep in mind. If you get to late game, it's still... Yeah. So.
Alright, Drow Ranger. Illusions now benefit from marksmanship bonus, meaning illusions will still lose the bonus if an enemy is nearby. Okay. So, illusions do 25% less damage to towers, but marksmanship bonus will now work on the illusions, so that for tower pushing purposes, not that she's a... Well, she can... I guess she's pretty good at tower pushing. It's pretty substantial, though, right?
Yeah, not just for tower pushing, also team fighting. If you have a Manta on Drow and she's unattended, these illusions are going to hit really fucking hard. So, something to watch out for. It's, you know, it's mainly for Manta, right? Sure, when you have an illusion rune.
Wait a second. Sometimes I get her skills mixed up. So marksmanship is the ulti. So let's say you have a Manta illusion. Let's say you have a team fight, and you and one of your Manta illusions is next to an enemy hero, and the third one is positioned way out of the way.
Yeah.
Does that work like I'm thinking?
Then the illusion that's far away still has marksmanship, but the two others don't.
But I'm thinking of the aura that is global.
That's her third skill.
Right. The agility... God, what am I thinking? The agility is... The passive agility is the ultimate.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. I think that's only from... So, the way this works, the way I'm understanding it, is that illusions get marksmanship, but the illusions don't carry the aura, right?
They don't carry the aura, okay.
Do they?
I never play this hero, I have no idea.
I'm trying to remember... I think this is like... Okay, you know what? I'm gonna really quickly make a game to see this. Enable cheats, here we go. Okay, so I think... I'm pretty sure the Drow illusions don't carry the True Shot aura, because else I see what you're saying, because then you can just make an illusion, run it away, and you will constantly have the True Shot aura bonus with marksmanship
on full.
Yes, but I'm pretty sure the illusions don't carry it. I'm going to test it real quick. Okay.
That does sound like it would be pretty insane, actually, now that I think
Hey, Shannon, how do you spell gold?
That's how.
Okay, Manta style, and... Oh, probably should have skilled aura first. Happens. Refresh. And let's use Manta. Okay.
Well, I mean, it'll have that little... If you put one out of the way, it'll have the little icon by it.
How do I kill myself?
Can
you do that?
I don't think so.
Okay, because here's the...
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that is a problem.
Or maybe not. Wait a sec. No, looks like the illusions do actually carry it. So that's a really good point, unless I'm misunderstanding something here. I want to say, in my defense, this is my least favorite hero in the game after Techies, I think. So I never play this hero. I think it's the most boring hero in the game for me. I really don't like playing Drow.
I feel like that's not true. I feel like there's got to be another hero that takes the cake, other than Techies.
But this is a really good point. So from what I can see, the Drow illusions are carrying the aura. So if you use Manta with your main... Alright, let me just... Alright, now I'm ultra checking it. Now I'm dying to Roche.
It's okay.
I have a Manta.
If I'm right, then nothing is right in the world.
So it looks like the illusions are carrying the aura, which would mean... let's see. Now my hero died. Nope, they don't. Okay.
Alright, I'm wrong, guys. Damn it.
Yeah. So that doesn't matter for that case. And it's actually pretty important because it means it's not only for Drow herself, but it would mean that the enemy team, if they create Drow illusions, they're even as it was in this current version, you'd get True Shot aura for your entire team, which is insane. Like Darkseer Wall, Disruption, that kind of stuff. So the reason I was pretty sure going in, like I told you, I think she doesn't carry the aura, because if the illusions carried aura, it would be too powerful. Both for herself and for the enemy team. So that's one of the auras you don't carry over on illusions.
All right, moving on.
Yep.
Earth Spirit.
Let's move on.
Which I'll let you cover this one because I still don't care enough.
Is he getting nerfed?
Hero.
Yes, he's getting nerfed all around.
So Rolling Boulder no longer reduces attack speed. Yep. Rolling Boulder no longer does any additional, or no longer does an additional 45 damage when used with Stone Remnant, and it also the base damage of it has been increased by 100, which
by 10
negligible, or to 100. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know much about this hero. It doesn't seem like that huge of a nerf.
Good. Nerf it. Just nerf.
It's a slight nerf. It's a slight nerf.
It's a nerf. It's a start. It's a nerf, which is good.
He's never played.
See you next patch.
In Captain's Draft, okay? He was not used to full effectiveness. Thus, he's not that good of a hero, right? That's how it works?
Yeah. The two Earth Spirit performances we saw in our tournament, for me, were lackluster. I really don't think those were two good Earth Spirit performances. This hero, for me, is still incredibly strong. And these nerfs are good. It's a start. I still think it's... And this is a shame, in a way, because I love the design. I really like the idea of the hero, and I think it's extremely cool. But it's just too good. And... Of course, we're mainly talking in the high bracket, because this is one of the hero designs that, you know, the problem about this hero is if you're not sure what you're doing, as a hero design, it's kind of comparable to Meepo. I generally draw this comparison where if you're not skilled with a hero, he pretty quickly goes. If you don't play it well, he's not that good. If you play it very well, he's extremely good. It's like out of this world how good this hero can be.
There's quite a discrepancy, is what you're saying.
Yes. So there's a really big discrepancy, which is why the hero has a pretty poor win rate, because in the lower skill brackets, people don't play it so well, but in the very high skill brackets, people play it all the time and just crush with it. So that means the design of the hero, like the ideas are really cool, but the way they're balanced and the way the hero works, it's a very difficult design to balance for play. But I'm glad to see him get nerfed. I'm glad they're not using the win rate of the heroes as the main guidance for how they should be balanced. They're balancing mainly around the competitive scene and the high bracket, it would seem, from a lot of the things we generally see. So that's good.
All right, moving on to Earthshaker. Enchant Totem mana cost has been reduced by, okay, whatever. Elder Titan, Astral Spirit
Pretty
damage.
Nice for Solo Shaker. Okay, go on.
Yeah, that's true. I'd love to see Solo Shaker as well. I mean, that's... But from competitive standpoint, no difference. Astral Spirit damage reduced.
I disagree, Shannon. I disagree.
Do you actually disagree?
I do.
What? You're serious?
Support Shakers generally get 1 value point in Totem.
Yeah.
So this means you have 30 more mana. That's often your extra fissure. So this is not irrelevant.
Answer me this, syndereN. Answer me this. Okay, when he's picked, sure.
He will not get picked more because of this change. Okay. No, but he is better.
All right, so I guess I do have a problem with when I look at these. I'm like, is this going to change anything as far as he's going to get picked? Usually it's a no from me because I'm very pessimistic, but I see what... Okay, I'll try to keep your side of things in mind.
I agree, though.
Elder Titan Astral Spirit damage has been reduced. I was playing against this hero recently, and holy god, that thing was so annoying. Fixed a few cases where Elder Titan could not move his Astral Spirit when casting Echo Stomp. So
could move his Astral Spirit.
So answer me this about this last thing. This doesn't change. So when the Astral Spirit's on his way back to Elder Titan, you can still cast Echo Stomp. Is my understanding. That was not a bug.
I don't know. Like this doesn't explain explicitly how it works now.
Everybody I talked to at the summit, players, Bruno, everybody said
Bruno's a player too.
Yeah, of course.
Just in a different way.
He's basically he's Ice Frog, so I basically talked to Ice Frog, and he said, or they said, that it's not a bug. It's intended that Echo Stomp works when the Astral Spirit's on its way back, which I don't know. I think that is a horrible part of the hero. I think it's ridiculously good, honestly. But If it's intended, it's intended.
I don't know. I think there was something, I can't remember how it was they explained you do it, but something like you throw out the spirit, and then you press stomp, and then you send it back at the same time. That there was like an interaction where you could stomp with it, and you couldn't see that it was stomping, or that it was stomping in a different way than it should. So I think those are the cases that are fixed, but I would agree the interaction still works. I guess that's the point. So the stupid interaction doesn't work, and the one they want does work.
But it's also stupid.
Good to see a nerf on this hero, though. This is another hero for me that's really difficult to balance, because it's a cool concept, but the concept itself, in a way, is broken. It's the only hero who has an ability that you cannot counter in any possible way the whole game.
Doom with
the Astral Spirit is uncounterable.
Oh, Astral
it's gonna run into you. It's gonna cast a stomp, and you have two choices. Either you use some sort of magic immunity, or you move, or you get slept for 5 seconds, and it's like a Naga sleep, and you can just go in and engage the team fight. This hero is the king of Roshan Pit, for example.
Yeah, that's true.
Whenever the team is doing Roshan, you get vision for free, you can stop them from doing it, and you can engage on them. And it's not even an ultimate, right? It's just an ability on like a 10-second cooldown. So this is...
Is there a better aura in the game?
The aura itself is insane too. So it's just that I really like the hero. I think the design is cool, but once again, it's one of those cases where the cool design is hard to balance.
Yeah, he's meant to be somewhat broken though. I mean, natural order is freaking insanely good.
So to give you an idea, Astral Spirit has a cooldown of 16, and Echo Stomp has one of 15, unless this is not updated. But then every 15 seconds, basically, you force the enemy team out of the Rosh Pit. Or you put them all to sleep and you engage. And if they BKB, you just don't engage, right?
Yeah.
So, insanely good. It's good to see him get nerfed a little bit. I still think he's a top pick.